Welcome to Temi Codes, and today we are building a Shazam clone using Flutter, Riverpod and ACRCloudSDK. And here's how it works. When you click on the center circle, it listens to the song that you've played around you, then recognizes the song and shows you the details about the song, and then you can play that on Deezer or whatever platform you want to play. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please remember to subscribe, like and share this video so other people can find it as well. The first thing we want to do is to create an empty project called Shazam that I've created here, and what I've done is to remove the extra boilerplate code that comes with a new project, and then created a new screen called home page, which I attributed to the home property. And in the prospect.yaml file, you will do some little imports of ACRCloudSDK. You can find that on pub.dev, and on I imported avatar glow. This is what we use to glow around the Shazam center circle, and also we are importing Flutter hooks, of course, why not, and also hooks Riverpod for our state management, and also DO for calling HTTP services, REST APIs and the rest. Okay, so the next thing is to talk about the folder structures. I have a folder called services, and inside the services I created another folder called models. This is where our model go, and also I have a file called the song service, and this is where I'll be calling the Deezer service. And also I have view models. This is where I'll be doing my state management. I have a file called home underscore vm.dart, and then I have the home.dart, which is a stateless widget, and I attributed to the home property of the material app in the main.dart. And also I have another screen called the song screen, which will show the detail about the song that is just recognized. Create an asset folder, and inside the asset folder I created another folder called images. This is where the Shazam logo will go, and then I have a default image and for the sunscreen in case there is no image from the Deezer API. And in prospect.yaml file I reference the asset folder, the images folder in the asset folder, so that I can call the assets in my code. Now let's see exactly what we need to be able to set up and create a Shazam clone. Now, if you go over to pub.dev, you will see the ACRCloudSDK 1.0, and you see the sample app, and you see exactly how to start the ACRCloudSDK, and you can do the ACR.start, ACR.stop. Okay, another thing we need to know is to create a model for Deezer. And if you go over to this URL, developers.deezer.com, and go to the API section, what we need to do is to go over to the track, and we are going to do the get method to this URL, and the ACRCloudSDK returns a track ID for Deezer, so we pass that track ID as a parameter here. And then when we submit, it's going to return this JSON object for us. And what you can do to generate a Dart object model from this JSON object is to copy this and go over to app.quicktype.io and paste it here, then call it Deezer song model, and it's going to generate Dart class for you that you can use to model the API. Also, you should go over to console.acrcloud.com to grab the API keys that you are going to use for the ACRCloudSDK. You can see when you want to initialize the SDK, you put in the host, you put in the access key, the access secret, and you can get that by signing up on ACRCloud.com for a developer account. And when you are on the dashboard, it's going to bring you here, and you go over to the project, audio and video projects, and you create a new project. I call the project Shazam clone, and it's going to give me the host, the access key, and the secret key that I need to use with this SDK. Now that is all you need to do. Now let's write and create this Shazam clone. Alright, now the first thing we need to do is to design our home page. Designing the home page is pretty straightforward. We already have a container that takes the height and the width of the whole screen. So the container is going to have a child of column. This is where we put the text, tab to Shazam, and also a big circle that has the Shazam logo in the middle. So how do you do that? We are going to have a text called tab to Shazam, and it's going to take the color of white and the font size of 20, and then we have a size box that will give a space of height 40, and when we save that, we are going to see that on our code. And also we have a material property that takes the a shape of circle border here, and it's going to take an elevation of 8, and also have a child of a container, and the container will have a padding of let's say 20 or 40, but the container itself will be of height 200, and width 200 as well. And to have that decoration that we are looking for, we are going to use the decoration property and assign a box decoration to it, and the shape will be a box shape that's circle. I want it to be circle, and then we have the color. We're going to use this color. I already have a color code that I'm going to use, and we'll save that. Okay, so we have this at the moment. For the column, we are going to make sure that it is center, so we are going to make the main axis alignment to be start and to be center, and then the cross axis alignment to be center as well. And then we will see exactly what here. So you have tab to Shazam. Now for the child of this container, we are going to just put the Shazam logo in our asset to it, and we are going to use the image.assets widget, which will pass the assets, the images, and the Shazam logo to the middle, and we have the color to be white. Now there you go. So once you click on this, we are expecting that it will show a pulsating effect, a ripple effect on this container. So how do we do that? We are going to wrap our material up in the avatar glow widget that we imported in our prospect.dart. So we are going to import avatar glow. Avatar glow has a property called end radius. This is to tell it to what radius do you want the glow to go. And once we save that, you see, and it also has a property of animate. You can set that to true, or you can set that to false. Once you set that to false, it's going to stop animating like this. So for this, I set it to true. And the last thing we want to do is to wrap our material in a texture detector, and it has a property of on tap, And for the on tap, we are just going to print something for now, tapped, and call it tapped. Okay, and when we tap that, we are going to have it that we have tapped that, and that is what we want. Now we have created the UI for the home. The next thing is to write the service for the Deezer service. Okay, so first we are going to copy the model of the Deezer song model that we generated in QuickType.io. So I'm going to just copy all of this and then paste that in this file, Deezer song model.dart. Now go over to song service. What I've done is to initialize Duo, and then there is a constructor of song service where I created a base option, and the base URL is api.deezer.com/track. Now we are going to create a new method that will do a get on the Deezer endpoint that we have. So it will return a feature of Deezer song model, and then we can do a get track and pass the ID of the track and make it async. Now we can do a try catch here. So for the catch, we will make it on Duo error. I'm going to catch an exception, and for the error we are just going to do if.response is not equals to null. We are just going to throw an error has occurred. We keep it simple for now, and else you are going to throw e.error. Also, I'd like to print the error, e.error, on my console. Okay, so we have implemented the error path of our try. Now let's implement the try itself, and then we have a response equals to await. We are going to call duo.get, and we are going to pass a path that is a URL, but for our case we are going to pass the ID to the URL. So Deezer takes this at the base URL, then attaches this ID to the base URL, and then we can have some options, and in these options we will have pass some headers, and in these headers it will pass in the content type and the accept, which I'm going to just paste here, right? We are good to go. Also, we are going to return the Deezer model, Deezer song model, and it's going to come with a result, Deezer song model dot from JSON, and we are going to pass the response.data to it, and lastly we are going to return the result, which works. Okay, so we have written the song service. So we are going to pass a track ID gotten from ACRCloud, and it's going to do a get on the URL, and it's going to return a result that we are going to map to the Deezer song model, and then we will return it and show the user. Okay, so the next thing is to go over to the view model, and what I've done is to create a class called homeViewModel that extends a change notifier, and then we have the constructor here, which will initialize a method, and then I have exported the view model here and created it here, so I can easily call homeViewModel in any of my screens. Okay, so let's implement this view model. and see exactly how to do that. Now the first thing is to create a method that is called init ARC, because if you go over to the documentation again, you can see that we need to initialize ARC for it to work, and then we will pass in the data, the secrets and the host key that we got from this ACRCloud ACRCloud dashboard. Okay, so it's ACR, sorry, it's not ARC. Okay, so now we are going to initialize the ACRCloud SDK and call it ACR equals to ACRCloud SDK. And also we are going to initialize our song service. Song service equals to song service. Now we are going to also create an object of Deezer song model and call it the current song. Also we have a boolean value is recognizing, and we set it to false. And then we have a boolean value success, and we set it to false as well. So we want to know if ACRCloud is recognizing the song. While it is, we want to keep showing this ripple effect. If it stops recognizing this ripple effect, we stop, and that is why we have that. Now let's create a method that returns a void, and then we call it initialize ACR, init ACR, and we can have a try catch. So and here we are going to do initialize ACR here like we have in the documentation, so this will be ACR. Okay, so we do the .init method. Say the .init method takes the host, take the access key and the secret and the likes, and then we need to do a song stream and .listen, and we need to pass in a method of song model that has a param of song model. That means when there's a data, we pass in the song model there. So we need that. So we are going to create another method called search song. Okay. Now for the catch, we're just going to print the error on the console, data string, and that is fine. Okay, so for the search song, we're just going to create a void function, and it's going to be search song, and it needs a song model and song. This song model is from ACRCloud SDK, so you just need that, and then we make it async. See, so it shows that it's fine. So we can print out the song that it gets, and then we create a variable called metadata. So the song that is recognizing, we have a metadata, and this is where the details about how the song is. And if you go into the song model, you will see that there is a lot. I see they have status, you have the metadata, and then it will return the album, it will return the artist, it will return a couple of details for you. So what we're interested in is the track ID that we will pass to Deezer and gives us the full detail about that song. Now we need to do a small check here. If metadata is not equals to null. So if there's something containing metadata, and metadata dot music dot length is greater than 0, this means that ACRCloud has found a song. That means there's a music in its metadata that is greater than 0. So what should we do? We are going to do a try and try and catch. In this try, we are just going to pass the ID of the music it has recognized and pass it to the Deezer song service. And now to get the ID, we can say final track ID equals to metadata dot music. Music is a list, so we take the first music it recognized and then do an external metadata. So you can see it recognizes Deezer or Spotify. Deezer track and .id. You can see it there. Okay, so we make this a little bit nullable. Okay, now we have the track here. Now we are going to just do final res, that's the response, equals to await song service dot get track, and then we are going to pass the track ID in there. So we are going to say current song equals to res, and we are going to tell it that success equals to true, and we will notify our listeners. So we will notify them that okay, something has changed. Also, for the catch, we are going to set is recognizing. That means if there's an error, we are going to set that there's a problem, so you stop recognizing, and then we are going to set our success to be false, and then we notify listeners again. Okay, so we have that already. Now we need to create a couple of methods. So if you check the documentation for ACRCloud, you see you have to, when you want to start recognizing a song, you have to do ACR.start, and you have to do ACR.stop as well to stop recognizing a song. So we are going to create a method void, and we are going to call it start recognizing, and it's returned an async. So it's recognizing will be true. That means that you are recognizing the song, and our success will be false, and we will notify listeners. And for this tutorial, I just prefer to use change notifier, and I'd like to use state notifier instead if I was doing a real project. And then we do a try, and we try to do ACR.start. Okay, and if there's an issue, I'm just going to print that and make it to string. Okay, so this is this method for start recognizing. We can just copy that and replicate that for stop recognizing. So it's recognizing will be true, it's recognizing will be false, and success will be false as well. Notified listeners, this will be the stop, and we are fine. Okay, so we have created the view model for our home. So next thing we need to do is to hook this view model in our home screen. Now there's a little problem here. It's telling us that the function has a return type of feature void, but does not end with a return statement. So I'm just going to put an async here and it's going to work fine. Okay, now let's go to the home and use that view model in the UI. The first thing I want to do is to change this to hook widget. And before that, we need to import provider scope in our main method. So in my app, you just wrap it with a new widget and we call it provider scope. So we just got provider scope and we are good to go. Okay, so we have a hook widget, and to use that you are just going to call a variable called VM, and we're just going to say use provider method, and you can find it in Riverpod, and we are just going to pass that home view model here. So home view model that we have created the other time. Now for animate, we just do VM dot is recognizing. That's fine. For the tapping, we are just going to do VM dot start recognizing, and I think that is all. Another thing we need to do is to wrap our scaffold in a widget, and we are going to wrap it with a provider listener. So if you want to show a snack bar or navigate to a new screen, you can use provider listener. And provider listener will take a value of home view model. The provider param will be home view model, and then the unchange we take in context and then a view model. And you can then say if view model dot is success, then you can do anything here. You can navigate to a new screen. Okay, so we have a little problem here, and we can reload and see why that is a problem. Okay, so we are fine. So if you check our console, you can see that we already initialized the ACRCloud SDK, and you see that it's trying to log in, and then we have a little print here showing that login is done, and you can start recognizing here. But before that, we need to complete the song screen. So once it recognizes a song and it's a success, we want to navigate the user to the song screen. So let's design the song screen. The song screen is going to take a parameter of Deezer song model. So from the home screen, we just pass in the Deezer song model, and we make a final feed. Here we make it required. We make sure that we are passing the song, and for the body we are going to have a child of column as well. For the column, we are going to create two containers, one at the top, one at the bottom, and the container will take about 60% of the screen, this container will hold the image of the song. So I've created an height that takes 60% of the screen, and then the width of the screen. But decoration has a decoration image. So if the song is equals to null, it's not equals to null, you are going to show the image from the song that we have passed to this screen. Else you are going to show a default image, which I have here. So the other screen will contain the details about the song, like the artist and the title of the song. And I've created an expanded widget here that contains a container. The container has a color of black, and for the text I pass in the song title, show the song title, also show the name of the artist. That's all for the song screen. Okay, so we are good to go. Once you play a music, you can test this on your you can test a song and see if it's recognizing the song, and we are good to go. Now the last part is to navigate the user to the song screen once it recognizes a song right from the home page. So we will use the navigator.push, and we are going to pass in the song screen, and for the song we'll just do vm.theCurrentSong. Okay, now for this, you can see that when you tap on this, it's showing that start recognizing. I want you to complete this project. I'm going to push this project on GitHub, where you can grab the code and then play with it. I want you to modify this so that if it's recognizing, when the user taps it, it will do stop recognizing. Okay, you can actually do that. You can do vm.is recognizing. If it's recognizing, you should do vm.stop recognizing, else do vm.start recognizing. So that will fix that for us. Also, you can add more to it. If you check the Deezer view model, let's go back to this place, and you can see it has a couple of data here that you can play around with, that you can show more to the user. For example, it has a preview, so the user can play the song. So you probably have an audio package that plays song from this URL. So a user, once they recognize the song, they can preview the song. Also, it has a link, and you can take the user out of the page to open the Deezer app. So there's a couple of things you can do with all this information. So I challenge you to extend this project to make it a little bigger and play around with a couple of stuff. So I've tried this on the emulator, but somehow my emulator doesn't listen to sound. So I'm going to run this code on my device and then try to recognize a couple of songs so that you see that it works. Also, you can put this project and play around with it. So clicking on that, you see it's trying to get the song, and there's no result, and you see no result, doesn't see a result. Okay, this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification, and share with your friends. See you next time in the next video.